Hey guys, so in the last video someone had asked what you could do if you're interested in being polyamorous but your partner isn't. And I kind of give some things to consider as well as a couple of options. So today's video, what we're going to be talking about is the types of what it looks like for me when I'm dating online, or yeah, pretty much just online. One of the things that I feel like everybody runs into, and I run into, is unicorn hunters. These are usually couples, whether they're exclusive or not, that are looking for another additional individual to include in a sexual encounter usually. And it could be long term, but it seems like they're short term, like usually about once or twice. The second thing that I've come across when I am online dating, I've met and dated some individuals that have claimed to be polyamorous, but they're not polyamorous. It's usually that they just decided at that, like pretty recently, that they think they'd be interested in polyamory, and they're partnered usually. It's usually that they're in the early stages of polyamory, so they haven't been doing it very long, so it's still too early to tell if they actually are polyamorous, but they're already stating that they are, which can be problematic because when I'm dating, I seek to find like a long-term relationship with somebody, like a romantic and physical one, but not based strictly on sex alone. I want it to be a long-term relationship. And so when somebody is claiming to be polyamorous, that means that I come in with this idea that we're on the same page and that both of us are seeking relationships. Because people in polyamorous people, some of them, like even some of us, we still do have just casual encounters, but polyamorous relationships, polyamorous people, they don't necessarily go out looking for casual relationships. They want love and they want long-term relationships. So when I meet somebody who says they're poly and they're just starting out, and I've been doing it for about 3 years now, it gives me high hopes that it's gonna work out, that we're, the chemistry is great, the conversation is great, like we're great as people, but the problem is that because they're starting out, they're still getting used to jealousy, whether it's dealing with their partner dating somebody else and then dropping our relationship because they want their partner to drop their relationship, so that way, because they don't want them to be with anybody else, and then, or because I'm married, or because I look for other people even while I'm in relationships, not always actively seeking other relationships, but sometimes I do. And if somebody is new to being polyamory or has never been polyamorous, jealousy can be a real big thing for them, because it's easy for us to want to be somebody's favorite. It's easy for us to not want to lose something that makes us feel good. And so it can be intimidating and it can be scary, and it's really difficult for new people that think that they're polyamorous. So I would really appreciate it, and I think a lot of other poly people would appreciate it, if you didn't just claim that you're polyamorous unless you actually know, like you've gone through some of the trials and you've determined that you can handle what polyamory means. The other thing that I find a lot of is most people are looking for friends with benefits. friends with benefits are great, but that's more geared towards people that are in open relationships. And open relationships can be confused with polyamorous relationships, but open relationships are more casual, whereas I've said before, polyamory is really about loving more than one person and not just like having sex with multiple people. You know, sex is a big part of it, but the foundation of it is really that you want to have a loving, romantic relationship as the foundation of the relationship that you're building. I've also seen a lot of ghosts on online dating. I've gone on quite a few dates and thought everything's going great, that, you know, we get along, we're all laughing, we might kiss, and we might plan another date, and then boom, gone. Don't know what happened. And that can be kind of stressful because then you kind of like, at least for me, I wonder, what did I do wrong? Was it me? Is it them? Are they going through something? And who knows? Sometimes you just gotta let it be what it is, and yeah. Then I've also come across people that are curious about polyamory. They find out I'm polyamorous because I state it in my bios that I'm polyamorous, that I'm married, and they have questions for me as to like how long I've been married, what dating was, pretty much everything that we discuss on this channel, they'll ask me. And then they start to think like, yeah, maybe I could be that kind of person too. I think that I also want to be polyamorous. I'm curious about it, and it seems like something I might be into. And then when we start hanging out, we start dating, if I talk about, you know, whether or not I'm still on a dating app, some people will get upset if I'm like, if we're talking and they're thinking about being polyamorous, and then they find out that they ask me, not that they find out, but that they ask me if I'm on a dating app, and I tell them I still am. Whether I'm actively looking, I usually keep my app open, and they don't always take it very well, and that can be a bit of a challenge too, because I don't want, whenever I meet somebody who's curious about being poly, or because I've been doing it for a few years now, I feel like there is this expectation of me to be perfect, I guess, like not be jealous, just be cool about whatever is going on, whether or not they want to date somebody else, or like I'm gonna teach them the ways of polyamory, and that isn't a very like healthy expectation. Of course I want to be as helpful as possible and educate people and open their horizons as much as I can. So those are just a few of the things that I've come across, and I'm sure people that aren't polyamorous also come across too. So I hope that's insightful to you as to kind of like what dating looks like for me. So as always, you guys can follow me on Instagram at TemptingSaitan, and you can always ask me questions. There isn't anything too personal. I will do my best to answer all of your guys' questions. What we'll talk about next in our next video is what breakups are like, since I'm married, and what does it look like if my wife gets broken up with, and how do I cope with helping her, and how does she handle me being broken up with, and what does that look like? We'll talk about breakups, so get ready. So once again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you guys next week.